Hello there, beautiful people. Yeah, I guess who's back? Me yet again. You cannot get rid of me. Hello, everyone. It's Adrian. I hope you're having a great day so far. I'm doing pretty good, as you can tell, and you're welcome. Welcome back to the channel where I talk about my unfiltered thoughts and opinions that nobody asked for. If that sounds like something that you're into, like and subscribe, and without wasting any time, let's get right into today's episode. Now, before we do that, tell me, doesn't this shirt look like your grandmother's tablecloth that she would use for family brunch? Because for me, it definitely does. That's what it always reminds me of. And it looks exactly like this. It used to look exactly like this shirt. So I thought that was funny. And that's what I was thinking when I bought this one. And I don't really wear that. I don't really get to wear it that often. But today I was like, you know what? Let's wear it, let's wear it because why not? Anyways, let's get right into today's episode. As you can tell from the title, today I'm going to be talking about my problem with constructive criticism. Now, I've always been the kind of person who always used to appreciate constructive criticism, and I really like it. As an actor, in case you didn't know, I'm an actor, and as an actor and artist in general, I've always been the kind of person to really do appreciate constructive criticism. There's nothing better than doing something creative and then asking somebody for their opinion and what they think and their constructive criticism and what they think you can do to get better at your craft, or what you think you can do to improve your performances as an actor and all that kind of stuff. I also write, what you can do to improve your writing skills. I always just find it really important, having to go to those people that you trust and whom you respect their opinions of and their criticism, and you can get to ask them what do you think of this, and they can be in the position to give you that constructive criticism so that you can get better. And I think with me that comes from this, it comes from an early age, because I started taking acting classes when I was 6 years old. So with acting classes, in case you do not know and you're not a fellow actor like myself, with acting classes, sometimes I also used to take a lot of improv classes. So when you do improv and the acting coach tells you to go at the front and improvise something, a scene, you could just go ahead and they just tell you, please give us something, you know what I mean? Action, without giving you a script or lines or a scenario. You just get to improvise something and pull something out of thin air and just give this performance. And after that, they would always ask the other actors and the students, what do you think of his or her performance? Is there any constructive criticism that you might have, and all that kind of stuff. And I used to love that part, because you get to talk about the performances and what you could have done differently and all this kind of stuff. So for that reason, and the reason that I've been doing that for more than a decade, I do not have a problem. I've never been the kind of person to have a problem with constructive criticism, or when somebody had something to say about my performance or art. It could be anything, my work, and they had something to say. I always used to welcome that, because I want to hear more. That's the only ways that somebody can get to learn more and see what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right, and basically get to improve on their craft or work and all of that kind of stuff. So I've always been the kind of person who's always been open to constructive criticism, and it's something that I really do appreciate coming from someone. And yeah, so I've never really had a problem with that. But I think nowadays people always confuse people always confuse being a bitter and hateful person and hating on someone's art or something that they're working on, their work, with constructive criticism. And that is not the same. It's not the same. You know what I mean? There's a big difference between being a bitter and negative person, just throwing all this shade at somebody and their work and their art, and you actually being in a position to give them real constructive criticism that's going to help them to grow as an artist, generally speaking. Again, as someone who always seeks that constructive criticism, because you want to be good at what you do, you want to be great even at what you do, and you want to keep getting better and better and better. And sometimes you want other people's opinions and their criticism, to ask them, what do you think I can do better, and all this kind of stuff. It's really important. We can always tell the difference between when someone is actually giving us real constructive criticism that's going to help us grow, and when someone is actually just being snarky and being passive aggressive and just being a hater and being negative and a hateful person for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, people are not that dumb. You know, you're not gonna come out here and just be this snarky and be passive aggressive and just be this person who's just like a hater, just a hater for no reason, you know, no reason at all, and then try to disguise it as, I'm just trying to give you criticism so that you can get better at your craft and what you're doing. Like, no, dude, you're not giving constructive criticism. You're just being a prick. That's who you are. That's what you're trying to be. And you think, again, people are not that dumb. You might think that people can tell when someone is being uh, it is actually trying to give them real constructive criticism and giving them tips on what they can do to get better at what they're doing. Again, you can apply this to anything. If you're an actor, a singer, a chef, a painter, again, it doesn't matter. You know, you can apply this to anything. There's always a difference when someone is actually trying to help and trying to give you real criticism so that you can get better at what you're doing, or when they're just trying to just be a prick and just a negative person for no reason and hate on what you do. Because again, let me tell you the difference. When someone is giving real constructive criticism, they don't try to be snarky, you know, they don't try to be passive aggressive, they don't try to make you feel dumb, they don't try to make you feel stupid, they don't try to make you feel like you don't know what they're doing. Again, going back to that same example of being an actor growing up, when you're in acting class and you give a performance, people don't try to make you feel stupid, they don't try to make you feel dumb, make you feel like you're not talented. I never did it to other people, other actors, and other actors never tried to do it to me, because again, we understand that, you know, we understand what real constructive criticism looks like. You know, we don't come out here and start to be like, well, I don't like your performance because it's bad, it's terrible, you're a bad actor, you know, or you're a bad artist or a bad cook. Again, you can apply this to anything. You don't just come out here and start to just be hateful and throw all these like shades. You're bad, you know, you suck at this, you suck at that. That is not how you give constructive criticism. Again, they don't try to make you feel dumb, they don't try to make you feel stupid, they don't try to make you feel like you do not know what you're trying to do. When someone is trying to give you real constructive criticism, going back to that same acting example, they come from this kind and empathetic kind of approach. You know, it always looks like this, like, hey, I see what you're trying to do with this performance and I really like what you did, but I think you can do this and this and this to improve your performance. Personally, if it were me and I was given this scene or this script to give this kind of performance, I would do this differently. You know, I would maybe try to not sigh too much when I say my lines. You know, I'm not gonna say, hey Victor, come here, and then I go ahead and sigh. Victor, come here. Victor, go and do this. Victor, I didn't like what you did. Real actors, good actors do not do that. You know, they don't keep sighing and take a deep breath every single time they try to deliver a line. That is bad acting. You don't do that, you know, but you say that in a kind way. You don't just come out here and be like, I don't like what you're doing. You suck at this, you're a bad, horrible actor, get out of my class, or I don't want to be in this scene with you. That is not how you do it. You try to approach it from this real and kind way, you know, when you're trying to give real constructive criticism and not you trying to be a freaking prick. You know, when you're giving real constructive criticism, you have to come from this place of, okay, listen, I can see what you were trying to do here, and I appreciate what you did and every single thing, and your approach and what you were trying to do with this maybe painting, but if it were me and I was in your position, I would have done this better. Maybe I was gonna come up. Maybe I would have came with a completely different concept. Maybe I would have used a different technique here. Maybe I would have used a different brush to do this because this brush didn't do the trick that you wanted to do. Maybe I would have used different colors and all this kind of stuff and all these techniques so that I can make this painting come to life and make it just a way better painting than what you did here. You know, you don't have to be a prick, you don't have to be a negative person, you don't have to be hateful. And I think that's the problem that I have, is when people try to be this bullies for no reason and just be hateful and be like, well, I don't like your painting, I don't like what you did. Okay, Victor, what did you not like about this painting? What could you have done differently? Give me some tips. Then they just stand there, well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You said you don't like it. You said you're trying to give some constructive criticism. With constructive criticism and giving that, you have to tell someone why you do not like something, and after that you have to tell them what they can do to improve that. If you're just coming here being like, if you're just coming out here and being like, I don't like this, I don't like that, that is just you giving opinions. That's you being opinionated and giving all these opinions and talking about the things that you like and things that you do not like, which it's fine. You do not like, you do not have to like every single thing that somebody is doing. Their art, their work, you don't have to like it. You know what I mean? Going back to that same acting example, you don't have to like someone's performance as an actor. If you don't like it, you do not like it. It's okay. You can just say, I do not like it. That's an opinion, and that's okay. You do not have to like something that somebody did in their art and their performance. But it's just a problem when you try to come to look at it from this place of, I'm trying to give you constructive criticism, but also you're not giving any tips for that for that person, for that person to like improve and get better at what they're doing. You know what I mean? You're just not gonna come out here and be like, I don't like what you do. I don't like what you do. Okay, give us tips. You have nothing to say. That's you just being a bully and you just being passive aggressive, and you think people might not tell what you're trying to do. People can tell. Okay, people are not dumb. People can always tell when you're being a hater and a hateful person and just a bitter person and a bully, and you're just being negative for no reason and trying to pick on someone for no reason, and they're working what they're trying to do, and you actually trying to be someone of good use, and you trying to give them real constructive criticism that's going to help them to be a better person. Going back to that same acting example, if you don't like someone's performance, you can be like, okay, I can see what you're trying to do here, but if I were you, I would have said and delivered these lines better. Maybe your physicality was just very robotic. Maybe try to feel more relaxed, and that will help you to deliver those lines better and just give a very authentic performance. Maybe you need to not have this blank stare on your face, and have those micro expressions. Use your lips, use your eyes, and have something in your eyes. Make it interesting, make it human, make it real. You have to give real tips instead of you just coming out here and being like, I don't like what you do, it's bad, it's horrible, and I don't like it. Again, it's okay for you not to like something, and that's just an opinion. But it's just weird when someone tries to be a hater and then try to disguise it as, I'm just trying to give you constructive criticism. You cannot you cannot take any criticism. Like, no, dude, that is not constructive criticism. If you're just trying to be a bully and trying to pick on someone and their work, that is not how you go about that. So keep it to yourself. Again, it's always funny when you call these people out when they're just being hateful and negative, and they are being a hater for no reason. They're being passive aggressive and trying to like insult you for some reason. You're like, okay, I see why you were criticizing this guy's work. Okay, what do you think he could have done differently? What do you think he can do to get better at his craft? Then they just stand there. Well, I don't know, I just don't like it. Then shut up. This is not your place, More especially if you do not have any experience in something. If you're someone who has never ever like gone to acting class, you're not an actor, you've never done acting at all, then you try to like be this kind of this person who's like always trying to come out here and give all these opinions and like critiques about someone's performance. Like, dude, you've never done it. Like, what are you even talking about? You've never acted a day in your life. You've never gone to acting class. You know nothing about the craft. Then why are you trying to come out here and being like, okay, this actor's performance was not good. It wasn't this, it wasn't that. Okay, it wasn't good. I understand that. Also, you do not have to be an expert at something in order for you to be able to like give some sort of like critique. But when you give a critique, you always have to also like give your reason and what someone can do to get better. You can come out here and being like, okay, I do not like your dish. I do not like your dish. It's bad. I do not like it. It's not good. But then someone asks you, the chef or whatever, somebody who cooked it, what do you think I would have done? What do you think I could do to like get better? What do you think I could have done to make this dish better or taste better? And then you just stand there, well, I do not know, I just don't like it. Like, dude, shut the hell up, shut the hell up. Again, if you have something nice to, if you have nothing nice to say about something or someone's work, shut the hell up, keep it to yourself, keep your constructive criticism to yourself. Stop disguising your negativity and you trying to be a hater as you trying to give some kind of constructive criticism. And when someone calls you out on that, you're like, oh, you cannot take any criticism. Like, dude, shut the hell up. We all can tell what you're trying to do. There's always a difference between real constructive criticism and you just trying to be a hater. You know what I mean? It's like someone coming on here and being like, I don't like your videos, you know, and it's like, okay, what do you think I can do to get better at this? Then it's like, I don't know, I just don't like them. Then shut the hell up, get off the page. You know what I mean? Get off the freaking page. Nobody cares. That's your opinion, and it's okay. You can have opinions. You're allowed to like something and not like something. But what you're just not allowed is what you're just not allowed to do is just you being a negative person and a bully and trying to pick on people and then trying to disguise that as I'm just trying to give real constructive criticism. That is not real constructive criticism, and it's just something that I wanted to talk about because it's just something that I see a lot. You know, people trying to be pricks and bullies, and then they come with this thing and they're like, I'm just giving constructive criticism. Like, dude, shut the hell up. That is not how you give real constructive criticism. When you give real criticism, you have to give your reasons and what you think someone can do to do better and get better at what they're doing. You don't have to be a prick, you don't have to be a bully. You can just like try to come from this place of you generally trying to help and you being kind. That's all it takes. It just takes real kindness. If you can do that, shut up, keep your constructive criticism to yourself. That's just something that I wanted to talk about, something that I've been wanting to talk about, something that had been on my mind. And yeah, that is all I have to say for today's episode. I do not want to make this very long. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this little chat, and let me know about you guys' opinions and what you think. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Join the family if you feel like it. Sending you virtual hugs and kisses. As always, I love you. Take care of yourself, and I will see you guys on the next one. Again, like and subscribe, and that's it. That's it. I'll see you on the next one. I love you. Take care of yourself. Subscribe, and bye-bye.